Hey, you guys, welcome to the live version of Married at First Sight Boston. We're going to talk about Decision Day, episode 17. And oh my God, it was shocking to say the least. Shocking. And I'm going to give it a minute or two so people can slowly start to roll in. Hey, you guys, welcome. Let me know where you're from. Were you guys shocked about Decision Day as much as I was? Oh my God, it was crazy. But we're gonna unpack what happened, and I want to get you guys' thoughts in regards to Decision Day. Hey, Pam, how are you? Welcome. All right, so no, let me just say this. No, YouTube just sent out the notification to you guys at 6 minutes after the hour. I don't know why they're doing that. Usually, I schedule for the top of the hour, and they sent out the notification 6 minutes later. So I see you guys are now slowly starting to stroll in here. And on the way in, say hi and where you guys from. And we're going to unpack all this. But all I got to say is that I was shocked, especially at one particular couple. Because listen, spoilers were coming out early on. I know you guys know what I was talking about. Because a lot of spoilers was coming out about who stayed together, who didn't stay together, who didn't say yes on decision day, I should say. And so I don't know. This was a weird decision day to me. To me, it was weird because I don't know if maybe they told them to say, hey, say yes, give it some time, try it out after the season, which actually make the show look good. Because listen, for the last, I would say, 3 seasons, after New Orleans season, well, at last 2 seasons, I should say, 12 and 13, it has been straight trash. We got one couple out of season 12, which was Vincent and Brianna. And we know how season 12 went. It was straight chaotic. And then season 13, we had one couple that went to zero by decision day. And I think they were on the fence even at the reunion, which was Rachel and Jose, and then they end up splitting. So the record hasn't really been good for them over the past, I would say, year and a half. I think they lucked out on season 11. Oh, okay. Welcome from Orlando. I think they actually lucked out with Woody and Amani and with Miles and Karen. We did have Amelia and Bennett, but they have since divorced and they are in their own separate relationships. And I think Amelia has moved to Alaska now. But even season 10 had Brandon and Luke and Kate, not Luke and Kate, Kate and Katie and Derek. And then there was Michael, Mika, Brandon, Taylor, that whole season. So I don't know if they tried to do something differently. Well, where they tried to say, you know what, you guys say yes on decision day. You haven't had enough time. Give it some time afterward and then away from the cameras. And then by reunion, let us know what happened. Well, the problem with that is it makes the producers look better because they had 4 yeses. And I'm here for the love and romance, but I want people's hearts to be in it 110%. Because I mean, what's the use if you guys are gonna force them to stay together? And I'm just saying allegedly. This is just my thought. I'm not saying that the producers actually did this, but it was just a weird decision day this season. What do you guys think? Hey, David. Yes, it has been a while. You know what? I'm still going to do the Married at First Sight Australia. We're going to talk about a lot of tea. And I was just waiting, and it's been about a month since the last episode of the Australia version. The Australia version is also airing on Lifetime in the US now. So the US viewers are now getting to see it. But yeah, dude. Oh, so you weren't getting my notifications from my channel again? Yeah, YouTube has been tripping. I'm telling you, it's been an ongoing battle since 2022. And it's not just me, a lot of content creators. I guess they made a lot of changes. So we have to evolve with the change. And it's been a struggle bus for a lot of us content creators. But don't worry about it, guys. Make sure you subscribe because, like I say, the notifications are either coming out late, especially with the lives and all of that. But let's see. Hey, Shanice, girl. Oh my, Shanice and I, we were watching. We should have probably did a watch party through Instagram because we were watching and crying and texting and. So, hey girl, how are you? I'm glad you didn't miss it because I know I told you I was going to do it on Thursday, I think, but a lot of stuff came up, and so I decided to do it today. Hey, Georgiana, what's going on? Welcome, welcome, welcome. And guys, hit the like button. Let YouTube, because again, YouTube is a stickler this year. If they're going to push your content to the recommended page, hit the like button. Please, thank you. I really, really appreciate it. It's free. And then for those people were asking me in the past about the super chat is now attached. So it's there. You don't have to worry about the Cash App thing anymore. The super chat is there and available for you guys. Okay, so let's jump into this and unpack all of this this stuff that we saw because I mean it was a long journey for the 8 weeks. I mean, and it seemed like people were connected more through their traumas versus through compatibility. And I think the reason that producers do that is because the more traumatic people, the more issues that people have, the more drama it creates. And that also brings viewers because people get tied into the drama. So to me, it looked like the season, that's what it was more about versus, let's try to make sure everybody's compatible, right? Okay. Um, Now, I know for some of you guys, the decisions made you happy. For some of you guys, not so much. And we got the reunion coming up this coming week and then part 2 the week after. So we're definitely going to see some stuff. They showed us a preview, but we're not going to jump the gun yet. We'll do another live for that later. Um so it's been 8 weeks. It comes, this journey comes to a very emotional end. We saw tears, something sound like ultimatums, surprising revelations. Uh, then we also saw one couple who made a surprise appearance, which it didn't surprise me because I would think they were originally part of the process, which you guys know who I'm talking about, Chris and Alyssa, but they showed up at the end. Well, we did get to see Chris early on in the episode because he did meet up with, was it Mark? I think it was. So, yeah. So let's just get straight into this recap and this live. And you guys, I'm looking forward to your comments. It says, Pam says they all need a divorce. I don't want drama. I want to see a real love match. You know what, Pam? I'm with you. I want to see a real love match too. But here's the thing, we'll definitely see with these cameras going and everything whether these couples can stand the test of time. I mean, people thought that Karen and Miles was a no-go. Even though they say yes on decision day, people were like, "Oh, I'm not buying it. They're just forcing it. I don't believe them." And now they have been married 2.5 years. So we'll have to see after the season whether those yeses actually meant yes. All right. So the first couple we are going to start with is Mike and Jasmina. They're the first couple to sit on the hot seat. So here's the thing. I didn't expect this, especially because I don't think Jazz is into Michael at all. I think they're really great friends. They like to play and hang out with each other and throw banter, but relationship wise, I don't see it. I just really don't. Um, and I don't even see them together long term. And from the looks of the reunion, it probably did end right after decision day. But yeah, I don't know, I don't know why she said yes. That's the interesting thing. I don't have high hopes for these two. They did start off rocky. I think for the entire month, they barely talked to each other. And I think I heard Michael say that. Michael was like for the first month of the, because remember the experiment is 2 months, right? For the first month, they barely talked to each other. There was a lot of issues going on, between the two of them. Georgiana says the same with Jamie and Beth. I knew they'd make it all along. Yeah, Jamie and Beth was another one. I mean, Beth was throwing furniture around. I mean, she was pissed and angry, and Jamie was like, "What the heck did I get myself into?" And they're still married. What I think it's 4 years now, because they were on season 9 or 8. So, and they've been married 4 years now. They done bought houses together and everything. So he re-proposed to her this past year. So you just never know. You just never know. Tanisha said, I don't see it either for Jazz and Mike. No, I really don't. I don't understand why they even said yes on decision day, in my opinion. Now, I will give it to Michael. He has been really open to progressing things, but Jazz has admitted that she isn't sure that she's attracted to him. I mean, if you don't have a connection to someone, I mean, what are you going to do? Just live in the house and just hang out with each other? I mean, Michael wants to know if the woman that he is supposedly married to, is attracted to him. So you can imagine me, you, and probably the entire viewing audience um was shocked when she said she wanted to stay married, because I thought sure she was done. I thought sure she was ready to be over this thing, you know. And she kept telling her friend, I don't feel anything. I don't feel anything. And Michael is like, I want to engage with her physically, but I'm afraid to. I don't know what she's going to say. And then they had that whole touching my booty conversation. Oh my God, that was so funny. That was so funny. Let me see what you guys talking about. Kimberly says Jasmina does not want to look bad on TV. That's what a lot of people are saying. A lot of folks are saying that she don't want to look bad. She was trying to save face. Um, I don't see. Let's see. Beth and Jamie went to therapy afterwards, though, and they said that's what helped them. I know. Well, you know what? I honestly think leaving a process like this, no matter what show you're on, because this is stressful. I mean, it's stressful to go through the filming, and then you got to wait 6 months before the season is actually aired to the public. And then you got to go through what your edit is going to look like or how you're being on the show. You got to deal with social media. So I honestly think that all of the participants should have some type of therapist on speed dial. So Janice says Jazz was even upset at the alleged booty touch. I know she was like, he grabbed my booty, and and Michael was like, I was asleep. I didn't even know my hand was there. So yeah, I was shocked. I was literally shocked. And the rumor mill had been out with the spoilers that Jazz and Michael was going to not say yes on decision day. So when she said yes, in my mind, I'm thinking like, well, Michael is going to be the one to say no. And turn around, he was like, "Oh yeah, I'm willing to try to work on things independent and stress free of the cameras." Now I find that interesting because that's the same conversation that Zach had with Michaela in season 13, where he was like, "You know what, let's just start over again. The cameras are not around, get a fresh slate and start dating." And of course, that was a no-go, and we all know what happened after the season with Zach. So, but I just find that interesting. The other thing that was crazy about these two is that they won't be moving in together right away. But they vowed to take their time, get to know each other. And I'm like, what is this? That's crazy to me. Um, they could all benefit from therapy either way, married or divorced. Absolutely, Georgiana. Absolutely. Pam says the experts have such bad results. I think production needs them to say yes so they can look good. That's what I said earlier, Pam. I think because of the last 3 to 4 seasons, since season 10, I would say, because that's when everything kind of hit the cliff. Season 10 moving forward has been absolutely out of control. The only couple that came out of season 10 was Jessica and Austin. Everybody else was it was just nothing there. Now, those people have since moved on to marry other folks. Katie got married last year. Michael Watson got married to Shay. I think the beginning of 21. I don't know what's going on with Brandon and Taylor. I do know that Taylor was dating, but she never revealed on social media who her boyfriend was at the time. So she was kind of keep that a secret. So they definitely went outside of the show to find other relationships, but on the show itself, straight trash. The season was just trash. Season 11, we had 2 out of 5. 12, 1 out of 5. 13, 0 out of 5. So, like you said, Pam, yeah, they have had a string of bad results for the past 2 years. And they're like, okay, well, we got to do something about this because this is ridiculous. And now all of a sudden, season 14 has 4 yeses. Go figure. Kimberly says, I like them as couples for the banter about the other couples in the interview. Yeah, that was pretty cool. Pam says they're both going back to their roommates. Yeah, because here's the thing. As much as, Jasmina was complaining about him having two female roommates, and then that was a whole storyline briefly for itself in the beginning itself, because of the fact of him not being transparent about it. She has a male roommate too, and all of her previous relationships have been long distance. So it's like it doesn't really surprise me that she don't want to move in with him. I mean, that was the one thing that we heard Noy talk about with Steve. Because remember, Noy was like, I don't know after decision day if we should actually live together. And I'm like, you gotta be kidding me. And then we had Dr. Pepper chime in this season saying how she and her husband don't live together. And I'm like, that doesn't, I mean, to each his own and what works for you. But you've been married for umpteen amount of years. These folks only known each other for 8 weeks. They have to be in a space where they can get to know each other and, be close. And I mean, Noy was talking about having 3 kids. So I don't know how that will work if you guys start out living separately. Okay. And then as for when we're talking about Jazz and Michael, that's why I was, how are you not going to move in together, but you're going to say yes to stay married? That makes no sense. She did say, well, we need a little bit more time to see how it goes. So for right now, I'm saying yes, but I'm like, okay, it helps to show in their numbers and statistics. But for you guys, I don't see anything promising coming from that. Let's see. So Shanice said the couple should absolutely get therapy either way because It is a lot, especially how volatile social media can be. Absolutely. Absolutely. Kim says Nola was the first season I watched in real time, so every season after that has been disappointing. Exactly. And they tried to make the Miles and Karen relationship look so bad because originally I think they wanted to paint Woody as the villain this season. I mean, that particular season. But because him and Amani just gelled so well together. Plus, it came out after the season that they had met previously. They didn't interact on a deeper level, but they say usually your soulmate is in your proximity and you have been around them whether you've met them or not. So they've met each other in the same proximity before. And I think they were hoping for the villain edit for Woody, and it didn't go down that way. So they had to find a new villain, and they used the whole Karen and Miles thing, but still, it made them look bad instead of highlighting the fact that hey, I got two good couples out of the season. So, absolutely no sense. You're right, Shanice. Okay, so Pam says, okay, let's move out and live down the street from my spouse. New trend. I guess. Now, I've heard that there are couples who live in the same house and they have their separate rooms, especially older couples. I hear that, folks that's been together for, and it's not a lot, so I don't want to make that as the whole mass of married people, but I have heard of couples living in the same house but having their own separate room. But two separate houses? Okay, whatever. Ginger says, welcome, Ginger. Well, you remember Jamie and Doug. Jamie was not attracted to Doug at all, but look now, many years later, children, they're still in love, going through, but still working. Yeah, so it can take some time. I guess that's what you're saying. Maybe that's why they, say, hey, you hadn't had enough time. I just don't see it with them. That's the thing. Mike and Jazz, I just don't see it that time is going to help them, because I really don't think Jazz is into him. I really don't. And it's so unfortunate because Michael seemed like he really wants this to work, but it's just I don't know. And like some people were saying, maybe Jazz was just trying to save face because from what I understand, and I'll just say allegedly, spoiler alert, there was a lot of issues after the season on her end that allowed them to not continue to be together. So I'm going to leave it right there. I've heard more about what's going on with Michael at this point too, but I won't share that until probably toward after the reunion. So we'll talk about that later. But I've gotten quite a bit of information on this couple, and you guys probably have seen and heard some things too. So let me know. Marquez, hey Marquez. Um, Michael and his wife are friend zone. Exactly. They make good friends. They absolutely make good friends. But being a romantic, married couple looking to have children and future generations, I don't see that with them. It's just not, I mean, I could be wrong. And listen, I hope I'm wrong because, like I say, I want the love and the romance, but I don't see it with these two. I just don't. Oh, you are so welcome, Ginger. Listen, I love having new folks come over here. So I appreciate you. Thank you so much. And you guys hit the like button if you are enjoying this chat. And feel free to let me know where you are. Kim says the other part that needs to be taken into consideration with Married at First Sight selects a city is cost of living and housing availability. It may take a while to find a place when people are in roommate situations. Now, Kim, from what I understand, if couples stay together, and I learned this in season 11, and guys, let me know if I'm wrong or if you have additional information. But from what I understand is that if you decide to say yes on decision day, I think for like 5 or 6 months after the season is over, they do pay for housing. Because I remember the housing that both Miles and Karen and Woody and Amani was in. They had that for 6 months and then they moved out and got their own places. So I could be wrong on that. I'm gonna say alleged around that because I don't want, Lifetime or the producers or kinetic content to come back to me and say, "What are you talking about?" But allegedly, that's what I heard. Um, Shanice says they were definitely going to give Woody the villain edit, but it didn't just happen like that. So they turned on Miles and Karen, just as they're doing with the two couples who actually make sense. Yeah, I honestly believe that. Now they did get a little bit of drama out of, who was that? Brett and Olivia at the time, but not a lot. And then the other couple was Christina and Henry at the time. And then they tried to make Henry this elusive person, and Henry is hilarious. I don't know if you guys follow him on IG. He has a new girlfriend, Kayla. They are absolutely gorgeous. Henry is glowing. They have been hanging out with Miles and Karen and Woody and Amani, because Woody and Amani has had several baby showers. Because hey guys, the countdown began. Amani is due next month in June, so we gotta look out for that. Also, by the way, you guys who are fans of Amani and Woody, I want to cut in with this. She is having a virtual baby shower. So I can try to get the details and post it on my community tab if you want to. I think she has a registry. So it's on her TikTok though. So they're going to do the virtual baby shower on their TikTok platform. So I'll send you guys the details if you want it. So we got a countdown for that as well. But yeah, you're absolutely right. They tried to make Miles and Karen the villain. Ginger said, "Thank you for having me." Yep. Again, welcome. Girl, I'll be in your inbox with your tea later. Thank you, Shanice. Thank you very much. I appreciate you. Thank you for having me this first time. You are so welcome. Marquez said, "I see why Karen and Miles played the show the way they did." Yeah, and see what happens, from what I understand, is that there was a lot of things edited out. So just there was a lot of things edited out from one couple this season too. And just to kind of give you an example of what I'm referring to, when Miles and Karen had their month anniversary, we only saw the gifts that Miles gave Karen. They never showed us what Karen gave Miles. And people were pissed off about that. Oh, she didn't give him anything, but he's always giving her stuff. Come to find out, Karen gave him a vintage, because he's a music enthusiast. So she gave him a vintage player with all of his favorite albums. Why wouldn't the show that? It also happened with one couple this season, and we'll talk about that in a minute, you know. But yeah, yeah, they definitely try to make the couples look bad. Let's see. Kimberly says, "Romance Review TV, do the couple still have to find housing even if it's paid for?" So I think they give them the first 5 or 6 months where they pay for it, because I can understand that other comment that we were talking about earlier. Once you get kicked out of the apartment building, where do the two of you go? Especially if you got a 1 bedroom apartment. Because a lot of these single folks maybe had a 1 bedroom apartment, or maybe, who knows? I don't think I remember anybody living with family, but they haven't had the time to look for an apartment because they spent hours filming. So I think that 6 month period, allegedly, from what I understand, allows them that time to start looking for a new place. And honestly, Have you guys seen Miles and Karen's new loft home? Oh my God. Go over to their channel. They actually did a new home tour or whatever they call that these days. They did a new home tour. They have a nice little cozy loft home. And I think Miles and Woody and Amani has moved as well. Uh, Also, because we can't forget about Vincent and Brianna. They had lived in a small space for a short period of time, and then they bought a house in Atlanta. So, or in the Atlanta area. I won't say directly in Atlanta. They got a beautiful home now. So, yeah, I'm loving those guys. I'm enjoying following. Hopefully, you following them too. Let's see. They have to get some drama out of this so people will keep watching. Yeah, I know, but sometimes it's just too much. And in the age of social media that we're in, social media is not forgiving at all. It takes years for people to actually see that. And I've had conversations with people like, "Oh, I absolutely adore Woody and Amani and Karen and Miles." And I'm like, 2 years ago, you guys were dragging Woody and dragging Karen. How soon you guys forget because of the edits that they were given. But it takes that long to recover in people's eyes because they've been shown one thing, and then these people got to get out here and prove that they're not that person. So, um, exactly just how. Oh, wait a minute. Let me back up because I don't want to miss any comments. Steve wife ain't going nowhere because she is spoiled. Marquez. I gotta give a shout out to Marquez. Marquez, you send me so many messages on IG. You keep up with me, asking me what's going on. What do you think about this? What do you think about that? So thank you for engaging. I know I can't answer all of your questions because I got content on like 5 different platforms. So I keep it moving, but I want to at least let you know that I acknowledge you and I see your messages. Shanice says exactly just how they only show what Katina gave. Oh, yeah. And O gave her gifts as well. And we'll get to them too, because they're up next. So we'll talk about them, Shanice. Kim says production definitely added to advance the storylines. Absolutely. Hey, welcome, Edith. How are you? I personally don't like drama because I started watching the show because I want to see if matchmaking really does work. And honestly, in the real world, matchmaking, it can. If the matchmakers actually work to put people together based on true compatibility and everybody go in being realistic and honest, it can work. But because we're talking about producers versus matchmakers, because the experts at the end of the day are getting paid by the production team and the network, right? So, they only have so much that they can do. You know what I'm saying? And this sucks because I really like Pastor Cal. Now, I don't know if you guys know this, but Dr. Viviana announced that she won't be on the show after this season. So, this is the last season we're going to see Dr. Viviana. I don't know who they're replacing her with as the sex therapist, but we'll have to see. So, I'll keep you updated as soon as we get some knowledge on who's who. Shanice is saying at Kimberly, exactly, they are piecing sentences together. Yeah, that's called frankenbiting. So when people heads are turned or the camera's to their back, or you see a door and voices are in the background, it's usually something that they pre-recorded and they'll add to a particular scene. Married at First Sight need more storylines. Yeah, they do. Hey, Lisa, welcome from Queens. How are you? Edith, yes. I think that information came out. When did she announce that? I think it was somewhere back in February. It was like right in the middle of the season where they made that announcement. So, but as for Jazz and Michael, yeah, looked like from the previews that we saw for Reunion Part 1, it ain't looking good for these two. And it wouldn't surprise me because I really don't. And them not moving in together. How are you supposed to build a relationship that's already weak in itself? We need more time. Okay, you don't need more time to live apart. You need more time if you truly are into this to see if it can work with the two of you together. So we'll get the details on these two definitely next week and see what happens. Okay, next up, uh, Olusola and Katina. The last time we saw, they really made in episode 16 as if he was like, I don't know if I want to do this. I could get over her. Um, and especially if well, what he said is, I could get over her if we go our separate ways. So they really, hyped up this whole thing of his indifference with the clips that we saw, or with the scenes, I should say, what we saw in episode 15 and 16. And he is the villain. So originally, Alyssa was the villain, right? When Alyssa, at this point, she was causing so much, you know, with the whole thing with Chris. Her and Chris was no longer on the show. Chris got a divorce. He was like, I'm out of this mess. They needed a villain. And because Olajuwon have traditional standards and values, that was definitely the villain edit right there. And it was hook, line, and sinker. So a lot of women and men who watched the show, a lot of folks were not happy about the fact of how Katina was sticking by his side this season. So in my mind, one thing about, because I know the background of reality TV, I need to see more than what's being shown to me, because they try to make her look like, and a lot of people is like, oh, she don't know her worth. How could you do this to yourself? You're dealing with a man who wants everything, but he's not giving anything to you. And I've seen multiple clips on, well, not clips, episodes on the after party where O is telling everybody, Katina gives it back to him. So as much as we see what he's saying, we don't get Katina's response. And from what the other cast members are saying, and also from what O himself is saying, Katina gives it back to him. It's not like she's being docile. It's not like she's being, people are calling her weak, don't know her worth, and things like that. I honestly believe that Katina, she's a Cancer. Cancer people speak their minds. They're very sensitive. They're emotional people. So you're going to hear it from them. I have several Cancers in my family. My dad is a Cancer. Anyway, I know I talk Zodiacs a lot on here. And then with O's a Taurus, because his birthday was May 10th. And I did post something on social media about it, and people was like, oh, so that makes sense. He's a Taurus. No wonder. Taurus people are very stubborn. They know what they want. They know they have standards and things like that. They don't budge. So actually, they're a zodiological match, but on television, what the world is seeing, everybody hates it. Just about, not everybody, but a lot of people do. So, anywho, a lot of people want her to choose herself, but it's decision day. Katina brings up being embarrassed about the dating app thing, which I've already talked about that. That whole thing was a farce. Thanks. And it was all over social media back in March, I think that was, because he had a white phone, she had a black phone that the dating app was supposed to be on, and then she didn't kick him out the house, she kicked the producers out. So it was just a lot of, that's why they called it the dating app gate. So I don't know if you guys actually heard that. Um, Elijah one brings up the whole thing about his wife cooking. Um, Not only does he think that his wife can't cook, according to what we saw, but he also said it wasn't edible. And social media lost their mind on that statement. Um, People saw it as an embarrassment, and I mean, the experts tried. They gave him advice. Katina, she felt like cooking should be 50-50, then solely her responsibility. And it was time to make, with all of that, people were hoping that one or the other, not me, because I want all of the couples except Jazz and Michael, because that they have a history. I didn't see that with them. But pretty much, Katina and Olajuwon chose to stay married. Um, Now, a lot of people thought his answer was a little bit convoluted and complicated because he first mentioned he was not given the established woman he requested, but in the end, because of the effort that she puts in, because what his statement was, I would rather be with a woman that don't have everything but put in the effort than somebody that does have everything and does nothing at all. And a lot of people didn't understand that. And I want you guys to drop down because I'm about to be done with this recap and we're going to talk about this couple. Let me know your thoughts on that statement. But the experts, they're happy. They got a couple number two to stay married. And a lot of people was like, "Oh, how can the experts just ignore how O was acting throughout this whole process?" Guys, I gotta say this, and I've been reiterating this on all of the shows that I recap. And Ready to Love, if you watch that show, the cast has been very open about what happens with them in this production team. We only get to see 1% of the 8 to 16 hours of filming that they do. 1%. So if they're only showing you 1%, where's everything else? Where's the other 90s? Just say even if they only showed us 10%. Where's the other 90% of the stuff that's been going on with is when Katina claps back, you know, when he's cooking, when she's not cooking. Because here's the thing. We did see in the beginning that has been cooking because he got up, he fixed breakfast. We saw two different scenes, I think, and I don't know, it's a crazy situation. But at the end of the day, they did decide to say yes and stay together. So let me jump in these comments and see what you guys have to say. I gotta do some scrolling. Okay. Okay, so Ginger says, yes, but they're doing too much with them now. I love Married at First Sight. I've watched every season. Yeah, they're doing too much. The drama is one thing to have a little bit of drama because couples do go through stuff, okay? But some of this stuff is just way over the top. Marquez said, they say next season is supposed to start in July. And next season is in San Francisco. And then I think because that's 15, season 16 is going to be in Nashville. Ginger say, everyone have a good evening. Blessings. Be safe. Okay, girlie. See you later. Thanks for coming. Lisa says, and my thought was, how could O have traditional values when he's never been married? He was a male stripper. Um, yeah, well, I don't know about him being a male stripper. That's a new one to me. I know he did because I put out all of his details. Um, and the university that he graduated from. He played football there, and then he worked for the city of Boston, I should say. Um, I don't know. I've never heard that one. Georgiana says the things he says though is hard for me to think he's any good for her, regardless of what her responses were, seen or unseen. Kim says, I wish they would stop using the traditional buzzword storyline. They have been doing it since Vaughn and Monet in season one. Production wants to elicit viewers' reaction and rage. Absolutely. And just let me say this, guys, there are still people in this world who have the traditional values. People get to, just like people get to choose who they love, what type of relationship. There are polyamorous relationships. There are all types of relationships and standards and values that people have. In regards to traditional values, a lot of people that are modern thinking, they don't have that type of thought process when it comes to their relationships. But there are people who are very conservative and traditional, and they get to choose to move in their relationships if both people are open to living, with those values. So, I mean, I agree, Kim. Kim says the experts' excitement over these yeses is giving quantity over quality. Yeah, because they know they've been screwing up. With all of the drama, season 12 was the worst. I mean, I know we got a lot of drama last season with Michaela freaking out when they were on the retreat, and then the whole thing with Rachel and Jose being locked out of the apartment. But they made a ton of cash off of the Chris and Paige storyline. They hit a record viewership, I think, for at least 5 or 6 weeks straight, just off of the Chris and Paige storyline. Seriously. So now we get to season 14, and now we got Chris and Alyssa. They made sure that only lasted a good 2 weeks, and she was gone. He was gone. But they lived and died and made a boatload of cash from endorsements, viewership, commercials, ratings, all of that in season 12, just on the storyline of Chris and Paige. So it created a social media frenzy. It created social media being attacking some of the cast members, whether showing up to their jobs, calling their jobs. I mean, it was out of control. It was crazy. I've never seen a frenzy like that in that season in my entire time of being a content creator. So, yeah, they needed to kind of change and switch it up a bit by saying, just say yes, give yourself some time. Because here's the thing, after the season and the cameras go away, if they break up, it's on them now. So they don't get the accountability if they say no on decision day with the experts. Because if they say no on decision day, then it's like, dang, look at our scorecard. But if everybody does say yes on decision day and then they crash and burn with the relationship after decision day, they're going to be like, well, it wasn't our fault. It was you on your own. So you can't hold us accountable for that. So, yeah, you are absolutely right with the quantity over quality statement. Meredith First Sight is lying about Steve. We know he has money. Yeah, that's a whole, we're going to talk about that storyline too. That whole storyline is absolutely ridiculous too. Oh, it's San Diego. I'm sorry. Thank you, Kim. Listen, I like to report correct information, so I appreciate that. Thanks for correcting me on that. Georgiana says that statement by I don't think was positive since he could have spoken about her and what she is without mentioning what he's not. So, from what I understand, Dr. Viviana did a live on Instagram, and she said that what you guys see in the few minutes of each decision day, she said that that actual interaction between each of the couples lasted for about an hour and a half to 2 hours per couple. So I'm wondering what else are we missing? Because if you're going back and forth and they're recording this whole thing for an hour and a half to 2 hours with each one of the couples, and then they're cherry picking, oh my God, he said that her food is not edible. We got to get that. That was crazy. Now, what if Katina says, "Well, I don't like the fact that he does this." If they don't feel that that's salacious enough, they're not going to put it out there. And if she stands up for herself, I would think it would help the viewers, especially with the mindset that they're in about but they because I was wondering, like, okay, you mean to tell me he got to say all of that? And like I say, I try to keep up with the cast. I try to keep up with what the experts say. And Dr. Viviana was going live all night Wednesday night. She kept popping in between commercials. And yeah, she was like, you know what? Those scenes, even though you guys are seeing 10, 15 minutes, we filmed each one of those couples an hour and a half to 2 hours. I was like, oh my God. So I'm wondering if more was said. That was bad though. I mean, I was cringing. I'm like, oh my God. Now I will say this. I was married for 15 years. There's things that I cooked that I screwed up. And my husband at the time was like, "Ooh, I can't eat this." I didn't get mad because when I tasted it, it did taste like trash. So listen, I thought back to that because at first I was like, "Oh, that don't sound good." But I also had to remember I've been in that position. I got married at 22 years old. Now I was um raised where my mom taught us how to cook and stuff. But when you're out there doing it on your own and mom is not standing there in the kitchen saying, "Hey, add a little bit of this, add a little bit of that," and it's just you, and I'm like, "Okay, I got to remember this." There were times where he was like, "This ain't it." He didn't get mad. I didn't get mad because when I tasted it, I was like, "You're right." So, I mean, sometimes, I had to take accountability for that. I was like, "Yeah, I screwed this one up." I did. By the way, just something funny. I saw this recipe for a blueberry cheesecake. I was so excited about it. I made my own crust, made the filling, got to the end. I'm like, oh, this is not good at all. Come to find out, I forgot to put the coconut milk in. So it happens. And that's why I brought that up. I mean, it sounds crazy because it did to me. I initially reacted to it. I'm like, oh my God, oh, it's not edible? Really? And like she said at the reunion preview, she was like, that hurt my feelings, you know? But in all actuality, there are times where I made a mistake and maybe overcooked something. I made something that wasn't as good as I thought it was going to be. So it happens. So what it comes down to is one thing he said is the effort. If she's willing to learn and she's open to it, because you guys got to remember when she had the last dinner, she said, and I quote, "I like the tough love that you give me." So when she says that she's open to learning, she's open to whatever he has to say, that's on her now. I'm not going to criticize because that's the dynamic of their relationship. I just hope that doesn't go the direction that everybody think he's going to go in. But listen, I've been there. That's all I can say. Let me see. They need to do better with the black couples. Absolutely, Marquez. I agree. Marquez says, I bet money that Mark and Lindsey break up. Yep. Uh, yeah, that's enough. We're gonna talk about them too. Georgiana says that it also shows that they may have talked them into the yes, like some people suspect. Why would they need to sit there for an hour? It clearly looked like they were counseling them on the couch then. Yeah, yeah, I can understand where you're coming from. It does. It does, you know, um, yeah, it does look kind of suspect. Kim says, I bet your husband didn't broadcast your food was inedible. That's the difference. No, I did. I remember having a conversation with my in-laws about it at the time. And so when he was like, dang, I'm hungry. And they was like, Y'all didn't eat yet? And I'd be like, oh, I screwed up the food. And that's the difference. That's me. I'm open. One thing about me, I can own up to when I screw up. Um, so I didn't have a problem with that. Or I used to tell my girlfriends, girl, I messed that whole thing up. That thing was burnt when I got through with it. But I'm okay with that. That was me. Elijah is trying to make Katina look bad, so if he leaves, he doesn't look like the bad guy. Yeah, well, we'll have to see because there's a lot of information that came out after the season, and I don't know if these folks. I'll just leave it right there, but yeah, it's not a good look from what we see on the show, Kim. It really isn't. The way that how he expresses himself. Now, there were some people that says maybe it has something to do with his autism and what comes up comes out. Now, I'm a Taurus myself. For those who know, I had a birthday 2.5 weeks ago. I will tell you, we definitely know what we want. We also can be very direct and we keep it real with people. We don't like telling people what they want to hear. We try to cut things down the middle. That's just me. Now, I mean, I'm not saying that I'm equal to him or anything, but I do know that my friends that know me, when they ask for advice, I don't tell them what they want to hear. I keep it real with them. I tell it straight. Some of them appreciate it. Some of them cringe, and they're like, "Girl, I know you're right, but that." But they know that I'm coming from a good place and I'm being honest with them. So I guess, when I put my birthday, because I posted a thing about my birthday on Instagram, and people like, you a Taurus? Yes, I am. I am. My sister is. Her birthday is 2 days after mine. My grandmother's the same day as mine. And I've even dated other Taurus men, and I get along with them very well. So some of them are my best friends, actually. So yeah. Um, I have no problem with them because we know that we can give it straight to each other and we won't lie to each other. We keep it real. We will. So anyway, let's see. As a lot of these couples lie to protect each other. Yeah, I can see that. Kim says, I think O said he has ADHD. Okay, thank you. It is. He did. He said that in the wedding episode. He said that. Noy and Steve are going to be pregnant soon. I bet you that. Probably so. Probably so. Because remember, Noy wants 3 kids. So she is like ready to go. Now, there's one thing that we have to talk about with O and Katina because after decision day, they met up with the other couples and they announced that they have now consummated the marriage. And Katina, it was a very happy woman. So if you look at the picture on the screen in the upper right hand corner, that is the scene when they were talking about that. And she had the biggest smile on her face. I had to capture that scene because I'm like, she's smiling and grinning from ear to ear because obviously she was like, it was good too. And she made that known to everybody. So I guess he wasn't lacking in the bedroom department. But so they have finally consummated the marriage. A lot of people were saying that they had probably been having sex throughout the season. Kind of like Clara and Ryan. If you remember Clara and Ryan from season 12, they had that whole storyline where Clara was really, really frustrated because Ryan wasn't sleeping with her. And then when they did an interview after the season with the Bald and the Beautiful, which is another huge, it was I forgot, Kev on stage and Mrs. Kev on stage. That's what I call her. They were actually on the after party. So they're also the couple. They've been married for a number of years. They also run the show The Bald and the Beautiful with 2 other couples. And Ryan and Clara was on their show. And they dropped that bombshell that they were having sex throughout the season. So, a lot of times they create storylines. They create them because they know it's going to trigger fans. So it wouldn't surprise me if Katina and Olajuwon was sleeping with each other throughout the season. It wouldn't have been a big surprise if they wasn't. But for the purposes of what we're talking about with episode 17, the decision day after that, they had announced to the other couples that they had slept together. And they were very happy about it too. So, yep, yep, yep. Okay, let's see your comments. I understand Katina's cooking is less than desire, and it is okay for O to say it wasn't good, but to say her food isn't edible and the way he said it is disrespectful, they need individual therapy. And welcome, Mary. Welcome, welcome, welcome to the live chat. I think that I haven't, this is your first comment. Let me know. And let me know where you're from because I want to know where you guys are listening to the chat from. Yeah, the way we saw it, it looked disrespectful. The way we saw it, it looks disrespectful. Now, from what I also know by, because you guys got to remember outside of Married at First Sight, and I do get to speak with a lot of these cast members off filming. So I get to know some of the things that they go through and what was said, what wasn't, what was edited out, what was in it, I should say. So, you know, from what we saw, it was a very disrespectful statement, you know. But yeah. Kim says, what storylines are you tired of seeing? Okay, so what I'm tired of seeing is where, because this was mentioned a little bit earlier, is where the sex thing, I mean, sex is part of a marriage. And I mean, it's one thing if you truly don't want to connect through sex and it's a real thing, not a fake storyline just to get salacious, drama out of it. So, I mean, they need to do better with that. I don't, I don't know. It's just so many different things. They need. I will say they need to do better with the black couples. That was mentioned. I think Marquez mentioned that a little bit earlier. Um, and thank God, Amani, and because they tried to make Woody look like this flamboyant player who was self-centered, who didn't want to get married and was living with his grandma. When you look at his background, the dude is double degreed. He's a dean of students, Baylor alumni, run his own business, and he's also an athletic coach. We got to see none of that. So give us, instead of putting at the bottom as their name tagline as reform player, how about put down something positive? Because even with Katina, they made Katina say her tagline was reform party girl or something. That girl has a whole blog. She's a foodie. So what she does is she has a whole blog where she goes and she visits um, different restaurants and entertainment venues, and she do a lot of dialogue on each of these places. Why not put her as a food commentator or a food influencer or something? But they always want to come up with these crazy, taglines to reform player or serial dater. That type of stuff I don't like. Um, Katina was too happy. I was happy for her. Yeah, I was happy for her too. I mean, she had that big old smile on her face. So if she happy, I'm happy. Now I will say they really, because here's the thing, they she didn't have any makeup, and I didn't know what her pictures looked like prior to coming on the show, but a lot of people thought because she had bags under her eyes that all that was due to Olajuwon. And I know they're probably going to have a lot to say, both of them, and I'll just preface this with if they stay together after the reunion, because I don't want to do any spoiler alerts. I'm gonna leave everything as in where we are as of May 14th. But if they are still together, they are probably going to have a lot to say. And Olajuwon has to prepare himself, single or married, for the backlash that he's going to get once he comes out of social media restriction. So he's going to have to, especially if he's ADHD and he's going through things, he's definitely going to have a therapist on call to deal with the backlash that he's about to face in his social media. So we'll see. Um, the finance Playboy storylines, absolutely, Kim. They should just leave the finances as an episode couple activity, not a storyline. Absolutely, I agree with that. Shanice says every time they give the black couple some messed up storylines, not one time they did highlight Jasmina's teaching or and Katina's state job. Exactly. Show what these people have that they actually do. You know what I'm saying? Because here's the thing, they did not play up the fact of Olajuwon's past. I didn't know anything about the whole stripper thing. I never saw any of that information. However, I do know about his college days. I do know that in 2019 he did purchase his home and that he do work for the city of Boston in the municipality division. So I do know those things actually happen. So, because all of that stuff is recorded, it's online, it's in public record, it's there. Because I like to go by facts. I don't, it's one thing if, you know, oh, I heard that he, whatever, or she was whatever. I like to, try to spot check because as a content creator, we can really get in a lot of trouble for defamation. So I have to be on point. Some people, it doesn't matter to them because it gives them views and likes and things, but that's not what we do over here. So, just to, put that out there. Marquez said they are going to treat Chris like they did Paige. They are going to be overly nice to him because they messed him over. Okay. Mary says my dad was a tourist and he knew what he wanted, protected his family, and never disparaged my mom or anyone else. It appears Katina has lost her voice and needs to learn how to treat women. Yeah, that's the key word in your statement is appears because like I said, has consistently, and even Michael and Mark, I don't know what episode that was on the after party, but they really vouched for him. So I know like other seasons, you'll have people come out and say, well, I don't know, this person is not, but Mark and both Michael have really vouched for and they get to actually see each other because they're part of the experiment. Jazz as well, um, have said some nice things about as well. So obviously there's more to the eye. Now here's the thing that's so crazy because the way that the show is being reflected to us, people don't even still believe believe what Mark and Jazz and Michael are even saying. They still don't believe it. That's how deep that runs when they drum up the storylines for the show and the villain edits. Let's see. This season doesn't end till June 1st. Yeah, we got about 2 more weeks, and today is the 14th, so that's about right, Marquez. Let's see. I saw somewhere that also flips houses. That's probably true. I mean, that's the going thing right now. And in 2021, there was a lot of inventory on the market. So it's possible real estate is a good business to be into and it's a great investment. Georgiana said, we might be getting conditions mixed up. I do have a lot of experience with this. Hope he doesn't try to make ADHD an excuse. They really didn't play that up. We only heard that in the beginning of the season. We haven't heard a lot of that since then. It's the fans that's really been talking about his condition. So we didn't get a lot of him saying, "Well, I'm ADHD and it's because of this." We heard a lot of Alyssa's talking about how she's a good person. I know this is the running joke, but I am a good person. I don't know how many times we heard that one. But we never really heard Olajuwon really use that as a crutch throughout the season. The fans continuously did bring it up in social media. Shanice says Steve vouched for him too. That's why I like to watch the after party. And I gotta give kudos to Keisha Knight Pulliam, because we originally had Unfiltered, and then Meredith, the kinetic content, decided to bring on the after party, and the girl did an amazing job for the first season of the after party. And her questions, she dived deep. She stayed unbiased, and she asked, "Oh, like, what were you doing? What did this mean? Why did you say that?" So she didn't hold no holds barred when it comes to how she asked. And when she asked other cast members, "Well, what do you think about what O said? And what do you think about what O did? And is there anything that the fans are missing?" And when they come out and say, "Well, we see O every day, and we're with him in the process," so she was able to dig deep to see, is it more to this guy than what we actually seen? Which that's why I like objective commentary, because they're there. I would rather hear it from people that he worked with, because they're with him every day. They've been with him for 8 weeks straight. They have to interact with each other. They're filming together. They're on the retreats together. They were on the honeymoons together. So they get to see all of it. So, I, like you say, Steve even vouched for him too. He sure did. I forgot about that episode. Marquez says Mark wife is disrespectful. That bowling scene made oh my God, that was crazy. Now, I do find it interesting that that whole thing, I mean, she was in the bathroom, they had the camera up to the door. Yeah, I mean, I'm surprised that Mark made it through. So, you know what? Let's move on, because I know we've been talking about O and Katina for a long time. And yeah, a lot of people are not happy with this couple. They wanted this couple to say no. They wanted Katina to say no. Even though they didn't like O, they wanted O to say no just to get away from Katina. But at the end of this, they both said yes. They both consummated the marriage. They're looking forward to moving in their place together. So we'll see what happened on Reunion. And we didn't get a lot of highlighted edits. All we saw is Olajuwon saying, "You look like a real some." I think he was talking to one of the other male cast members. I don't know who he was talking to. And then the only other clip we saw with Katina is when she told Kevin Frazier that hurt her feelings about the inedible thing. So I don't know. And then somebody was crying. So I think that was Katina was crying. So we don't know whether that means that something bad happened or he proposed, because they did the same thing with Woody and Amani. And Woody was crying, and come to find out, he was giving a heartfelt speech with a proposal of a new wedding ring. So we'll have to wait and see. Edits are made to get you anticipated. So we'll see what happened with this couple on the reunion part one. All right, let us go to our next couple, which is Lindsey and Mark the Shark. So, as we know, Lindsey and Mark relationship has probably been one of the most tumultuous ones. I mean, we had a lot of drama. A lot of people didn't like O, but there was a ton of drama when it came to Lindsey and Mark. Now, they have had some good moments, but their marriage had a bunch of very intense arguments. On decision day, Lindsey doesn't hesitate to bring up several of Mark's infractions. She chastised him in front of the experts. And I mean, Yeah, it was one thing for O to say something about her food not being edible. She really dug deep in on Mark. Lindsey definitely chastised him. She started out on a good note and then turned around and made it something bad on the back end of her statement. I was like, whoa. And I think it even threw Dr. Viviana off because she was looking like, well, wait a minute, what happened? Where do we go from here? She started off saying good things and then she turned around and used it as a way to stick it to Mark. Okay. When they made their decision, he acknowledges that he grew due to his wife's efforts and want to stay married. Lindsey admitted that her husband isn't what she asked for, everything she asked for, but he is everything she needs. So I mean, I guess she found found a way to make that make sense. You know, with with their relationship, but yeah, I mean, it made it look like she wanted to mold him into the man that she wanted him to be. So, oh, all right. Let's see what you guys got in these comments. Um, Kim says, I think Keisha Knight Pulliam started strong on the after party, but it seemed mid-season production made her sugarcoat things and speak for the cast. Really? Okay. Denise said, I couldn't imagine right now with all of the backlash. It's even too much for me to read some of the comments about these people. I even see people talking about noise appearance. Yeah, that's what I was saying. Social media is not forgiving. I actually agree. I saw some posts where they was talking about how Noi need to go get her face fixed. I mean, it's just crazy. It's one thing if you don't like what you see or a person say on the show. But then when you got to start attacking their physicality, all of that, it's just crazy. Have they opened up their social media accounts? No. I will say Married at First Sight is the only show that locks down their social media. I would say 100. I mean, they can't. They're not supposed to talk to nobody. They're not supposed to follow people. They're not supposed to let anybody follow them. They have to shut all their social medias until the night of reunion part two finishes. Now, Married at First Sight Australia allows the producers allow their social medias to be open, but they are the ones controlling the content. Ready to Love, they're open throughout the season. They tell you everything that's going on throughout the entire season. So, and then The Bachelor, they allow theirs to be open. They just can't talk about the season. So, Married at First Sight US, they're very strict about social media. Let's see. Lindsey and Elijah want to do the same thing as far as insulting their spouses. Yeah, Lindsey tried at the beginning to throw Elijah one under the bus, and people were calling her behavior Karenish because she made up all of this stuff about him jumping at her and what did she say? And this was early in the season when they were going on a honeymoon, and come to find out she was the instigator. And Mark even came out and said, no, it wasn't Elijah one, it was my wife. She was the one trying to start mess with Katina and O on the plane at the airport. And then she had a scene where she played the victim. So it's Lindsey is all over the place. Lindsey is all over the place. I really don't think Lindsey and Mark have any reason to be together. The experts didn't really look happy about their yes. I mean, I don't see it. In the beginning, I thought they could work. Here's the thing. I mean, and again, I like talking Zodiacs. It's, just for fun, kicks and giggles, right? Mark is a Scorpio. Lindsey is a Libra. That is not a match. at all. So I think sometimes because they put the kinetic content and Married at First Sight Lifetime on their IG accounts, they did put each of their zodiac signs out there. So I'm wondering, do they purposely match up people that are not technically zodiologically matched? I mean, now I will say Jazz and Michael are a match. She's a Scorpio and Michael is a Pisces. That's a zodiological match. O and Katina are a zodiological match, of course, in Cancer. Noy and Steve. Steve is an Aries. Noy is now I've seen two conflicting stories. One says she's Virgo, one says she's a Libra. Either way, if she's a Libra, that's a little bit more compatible with Steve as an Aries over a Virgo. And then I don't know what Chris and Alyssa. Oh, Alyssa is a Libra. Chris is a. I'm trying to remember because it's been a while. But I don't think they're a zodiological match either. I think he's a Capricorn. Um, but yeah, Alyssa. And here's the interesting thing: they love putting Libras on the show. So I'm just gonna give you a quick synopsis of that. And Lindsey's one, Zach is one, Karen is a Libra, Chris Williams is a Libra. Um, who else? And one thing, because my son is a Libra, they are very sweet people, but they can be very indecisive and very reactive. So, and shout out to all the Libras out there because I love your creative side. You love romance and love and all that good stuff, but you can be a bit indecisive and you can be very reactive. And to put Michaela, who's a Taurus, with a Libra who is Zach, not a match. So I wonder sometimes um, if they purposely know the zodiacs of these different people, and zodiacs is not 100%. Like I say, it's all for kicks and giggles. But sometimes it's like, why did you put these people together in the first place? And Mark, I think they should have really did him well. This is his second time applying for the show. So Mark was here for the right reasons. He was here for the right reasons. So Lindsey, I'm not sure. Lindsey was doing some really crazy things to really bring attention to herself. That crazy laugh, some of the stuff that she was doing. It was like, I don't know, Lindsey. Are you sure you're here for the right reason? I don't know. So let's see what the comment says. Um. Okay, so Lindsey act like she is Mark's mom. She does. She act like a mama bear. She wants to tell him what to do, tell him how to be, tell him how to act, all of that. Kimberly, not really. O has never talked about Katina's physical appearance or sexually either. Lindsey does it to hurt feelings. He just speak what he feels, and it can be harsh. Shanice says Noise a Libra. Okay, I saw one story. Maybe she's on a cusp, so maybe it got conflicted because Libra and Virgo are back to back signs. So maybe she's a September Libra. Shanice says the only Libra I like from the show is Noy and season 12 Karen. Yes. Georgiana says very interesting. This zodiac stuff you're talking. It can be fun. It's not 100%. But sometimes when you look at the characteristic and personality traits that come with the sign, you actually be like, wow. So, Shanice says, I'm not talking about the details. They're both harsh, humiliating with the delivery. Yeah. Yeah, that's the thing. They're very straightforward. They they give it to you straight, no chaser. And the thing is, you just don't know how the person is going to react on the other end. Now, I'm that type of person. I'll give it to you straight, but I'll ask you first, do you want to hear what I have to say? And if you say yes, then I'm going to give it to you. So if you don't like it, hey, I asked you if you wanted to hear it. So the season was slow. Yeah, I mean, it was long, and they didn't need those. What was in the middle of the season break that they did where they rehashed the first half of the season, and then they did that one episode where they had Paige and Mika and Gil, where they were talking about who was going to do what on decision day, and I'm like, y'all are dragging this out. You guys are dragging this out. Let's just keep it moving. So, but yes, so Lindsey and Mark, I honestly don't think they're going to last. So they did say yes on decision day, but I don't think they're going to last. I really don't. You know, I have I just don't have the confidence there because of the fact that even though if Mark is willing to make this work, I just don't think that Lindsey is always going to move the goalpost. It's never going to be enough because when he does something, you don't do this right. And then he try to do that right. But what about this? And you don't do that right. You just don't care about me. You don't do anything I want. You want blah 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 blah. And it's like, Lindsey, you keep moving the goalpost. He's going to get tired of that. This man is a grown man. I mean, it's crazy. And the stuff that I did hear after the season was over with is out of control. I mean, from what I understand, it got pretty darn bad. And then did you guys see the preview for next week where she's trying to stop Dr. Viviana from saying something to her? I was like, okay, all right. Yeah. Shanice said those breaks were unnecessary. They were. It was crazy. I mean, there was 2 episodes in this entire season that was like, why? I didn't even watch any of them. And I know, Shanice, you hit me up and you was like, are you watching? I'm like, no. I'm like, nope. I got other things to do. I also watched Temptation Island that comes on Wednesday night. And so I was like, well, here's my opportunity. I don't have to watch it on DVR. I can actually watch it real time. So, yeah, I didn't even watch it. Um, Kim says yes, they can get rid of the matchmaking, the kickoff, journey so far, and the predictions. Girl, Kim, you got it down to each name of each episode. So obviously, you know what we're talking about. That's crazy. Because I mean, that whole matchmaking kickoff thing is ridiculous. Get them married. Because I mean, Married at First Sight Australia, they go straight to the weddings. They don't have they'll have maybe the experts show the pictures of who they put with who, but then they go to the wedding. We don't get all this stuff about I'm going to show up to your house and then you got to talk to your family. And then I come back and surprise you that we've selected you and then we need to see your house. And then we got to show you everybody we interviewed and talked to that didn't make the show. And then we got to show you I said yes to the dress and he picked the tuxedo. Oh my God. And then they spread out all of the marriages over a period of 3 weeks. So we get maybe 2 marriages one week, 2 marriages the second week, and then we get a marriage maybe week 3. It's ridiculous. Shanice says she was disrespecting Dr. Viv and Mark look real traumatized. I wonder what happened during those months. Yeah, I've heard some crazy things that had happened. Oh, it got really crazy, and it was on Lindsey's end. So, woo, yeah, we're gonna talk about that probably on reunion part 2. But yeah, I don't see long term for them at all. And then they making this after the whole decision day when they meet up with the couples, they had this whole united front thing, and I'm looking at Steve like, I mean not Steve, I'm looking at Mark like, boy, do you really know what you're getting yourself into? Maybe he should have said no on decision day, but I think he really wants this to work. Nobody is not going to try to get on this show twice looking for a mate, without really truly wanting to be here. He was here for the right reasons. He want a wife, and they put him with Lindsey, And listen, like, I don't know Lindsey outside of the show. We'll see what Lindsey presents, but Lindsey hey, to me it seems like what she's showing and what she is, and it could be the same for everybody. But like I said, we'll get to see more after the season. All right, let's move on because we got one more couple, and that couple is, hold on, Noi and Steve. So early on, Noi and Steve is probably, I think, out of all of the couples this season, they might have been maybe the favorite because for everybody else had so much drama this season. They had a little bit of drama, but it wasn't at the level of a lot of the other couples. I actually think they're a good-looking couple together, but as you know, the season went on, they had serious issues around his finances, how the chores were going to be equally distributed. Now we did see in this particular decision day episode, Noi got emotional about how safe she feels with Steve. However, she still feels like he should have no issue doing the lion's share of the household chores. Um, here's I don't know. You guys got to tell me what you think about that because from what I've seen, what we've been shown, I'll just say it like that. Steve has been doing all of the chores. He was walking her dog and all of that, and that's why Steve was complaining because he was like, "You want me to go and do all these other things financially, but then you also want me to do all this stuff around the house." you know and it made Noi, the way that she was portrayed, it made her come off if she was bratty, immature, those types of things. And look, I get it, people want to have financial security, you know but it was how she handled conflict. She even brought up the fact that Steve isn't working as the reason why he should be doing more. And this boy this boy, oh my God, this man has repeatedly, even on the after party, said, even Keisha Knight Pulliam dug deep with Steve. And it was like, Steve, do this girl have anything to worry about? Noi even gave Keisha Knight Pulliam a number and about amount of savings in the bank. And Noi told Keisha that he needed to have at least 40K in the bank. And so the next episode of the after party, when Steve was on, Keisha asked him, like, do you have substantial savings? And she said, Noi gave me a number. And so Steve was like, what is that number? And Keisha Knight Pulliam told him what the number was, and Steve was like, well, if that's the number that she's looking for, she's good. And Keisha Knight Pulliam was like, that's what I've been trying to tell her. So I don't know if this is some stupid drummed up storyline regarding his finances just to create drama for the show, because the man is a sales engineer. People were diving into his past. That's what social media does. He developed apps. A lot of people were looking for the apps, and they were coming back. He ain't got no job. Those apps aren't even on Apple. What is it? Apple or Android App Store. What you understand is he's a developer. He sells those apps off. And somebody actually brought up the fact that his net worth is a little bit over $1 million. So, seriously, all I can think of is that this got to be some salacious, drummed up storyline by the producers to make it look like he's a broke guy when he's actually an entrepreneur. And even Chris vouched for him. Alyssa's Chris vouched for him on the after party, saying, I totally understand where Steve is coming from because I'm in the same business. He's in real estate. He's a real estate investor. I actually follow Steve. Chris. Chris's Instagram is open because he's no longer on the show. And he's been advertising all of his properties on Instagram, showing home tours and everything. So he's an entrepreneur as well. But I guess because no job to some people means you're broke, which technically no 9 to 5 job could also mean that you have your own business. And from the way it looks, he developed apps and he sells them off to other people, which is what you should do. Just like people sell off their businesses. Once they grow a business and get it to where it's at, there's a lot of people that cash those businesses in and use the money for a new investment. So, then the whole thing with social media. Oh yeah, we got to talk about that with Mark and Steve right quick. Did you hear Lindsey tell the experts that Mark is always online with filters, taking pictures and doing videos and stuff with filters? And I'm like, why? Half of the world use some form of filters, whether it's facial makeup or if you use an actual electronic filter. What's the problem? Now, if it's interfering with work or anything like that, okay, maybe. But the fact that she brought up that whole thing about him being on his phone using filters, I'm like, Lindsey, get over yourself. What was the purpose of that statement? That was ridiculous. But speaking of social media, getting back to Noy and Steve, that whole thing where Noy put out on social media, remember with the whole noodle gate thing? That whole thing with those noodles, because of the fact that he said, you could have watched my noodles too. She gets mad, leave the house, stay gone for a day from what was portrayed. Came while she was gone, she put all this negative stuff on social media, these little cryptic messages, and people was calling him, asking him if he was good. And I don't blame them because they like, your girl out here got you looking foul. What's going on? Is she talking about you guys? Is your relationship okay? Are you okay? So that's where that immaturity comes in. It's like, why do you feel the need to go to social media to do that? If you got a problem with your significant other, talk to your significant other, your husband, your fiance, your boyfriend, your girlfriend, vice versa, male or female. If you need to talk to somebody about some issues, if you need to cool down and come back, circle back and have the conversation. But going on social media, putting messages out there, your family members, his family members, y'all all follow each other. Seriously? Come on. So, yeah, that whole thing, I know they had to give Steve the side eye, but I got to give it to him. He stood up for that one. He was like, you can't do that to me. That's not fair. If you have a problem, you need to be able to talk to me. So we all remember that happened. Um, Steve did get offended at decision day about that whole thing with working. Um, and that whole thing is crazy. But they did choose to stay together. We got to get to see what happens to them after the season on the reunion next week. But we also got to talk about what happened after decision day when they met up with the other couple. So, and then I'm going to come back and read you guys' comments because I know y'all got a lot of them. I was ranting for a little bit. But this whole scene, so I thought it was cute that he started out with the ring pop. Somebody was saying that this is definitely somebody who, this company, James Allen, was a show endorsement because they showed the name of the company, they showed the website. I guess it was a way to advertise. A lot of people wasn't happy about that. Now, if he had went to purchase a ring and just gave it to her, I like it either way. I mean, as long as, if he's doing this from the heart, whether he got help with the show or the show said, hey, you want to buy a ring? Okay, we got this jewelry store who we want to bring in to, you know, um, give them some props or, give them some airtime. But if he's truly into doing this, I'm all for that on Steve's side. But with production, this was definitely a something as an endorsement for this particular company. I gotta say, I like the ring. She was definitely very happy. She was in tears. And, they was talking about her and her ugly tears and stuff like that, but yeah, so I actually think they can go the long haul. Knowing, I mean, Steve is in it. He's in it to win it with the marriage, with the kids, the three babies, the dog, everything. Noi has to get out of her own way. I'm glad she got rid of the idea of living separate, kind of like the whole Jazz and Michael thing. So look like they're going to be actually living together. And she knows she loved that man. She was the first person in the relationship to say I love you on day 3. So yeah, they'll be fine. If this was a fake storyline, to give them some drama, okay, fine. But I'm here for that to see them progress as a couple after the show. Okay, let's look at what y'all saying in this chat. And guys, hit the like button if you are enjoying the content and you want to send through a super chat. That would be appreciated as well. All right, so let me go back. Everyone's saying okay, Mary. Hey, Mary girl. She's just too immature for marriage. Absolutely. Yeah, her actions definitely are immature. In the early episode, Steve said that he was doing all those things. He was not working, so she didn't have to worry about it. And a few episodes later, he was complaining about it. Yeah, yeah. That's why I'm wondering. I'm like, hmm. And believe me, these couples are going to come out and they're going to talk about some of this stuff. I mean, just like I said with the previous seasons. Oh, they're going to have their say too. Let's see. Shanice says, besides what everyone is saying about this couple, I love them and Steve ain't broke. Oh, vouch for him on the after party that he ain't broke. Yes, he is not. As I said, he sells off, he develops apps and he sells them off. And when you sell off an application, the money is huge. I actually have a friend of mine who is having an app developed and is going to be sold off. And I will say the price tag on that is definitely in the millions. So it's not something cheap. It's not an app that you sell for a couple $1,000s. Those apps that people and companies buy, they pay big bucks for them. And that's what Steve has been doing. So you are absolutely correct, Shanice. Marquez said they need to hire a maid and go on. He has the money to take care of her. Married at first sight, need to stop the fake storyline. Absolutely, Marquez. They need to quit playing. Seriously. They know that man. And Noy know that man got money too. Shanice says Lindsey is controlling AF. Yes, she is. And she keep moving the goalposts. It's one thing if you're trying to be controlling, but every time that person do something, it's not good enough, and you tell them to do it better, do it this way, do it that way, you're never going to make that person happy. So she needs to stop moving the goalposts. How was Noy able to go on social media for all this? So they still have their own private people that follow them. So if you look on Instagram, they have followers before the show started. Okay. They don't get rid of the followers that they have, they shut their social media down. So nobody can go in, nobody can look at their followers, nobody can follow their followers. So they have, like, some of the past season cast members are also followers of the current season cast members. So they interact with each other, they interact with their families, but that's it. Any outside people is a no-go. So they still have a small social media, but it's on lockdown. Um, let's see. Lindsey is a put on. The more attention, the better. Starts crap and play the victim. Never her fault. Always Mark's and someone else's. Absolutely. I totally agree with that, Mary. Shanice says that proposal was so sweet. Girl, I was in tears. We were both crying. Remember when we was texting each other on IG? We was like, "Oh my God, did you see that? I'm in tears over here." Man, I think because remember the experts had to keep getting boxes of tissues because of all of the tears that they shared with each couple. Mary Payne. Hi, Mary. Y'all, Steve has money in the bank, but he doesn't want to work. And Noy needs security because of being raised poor. Steve needs a career plan. Is that 80,000 or 80? Okay. I'll just say 80 without adding to it. It will not go far. I honestly think that if you can live on your own for 4 months straight, and I mean, live in your car for 4 months straight and travel the world, you got to have a lot of money to do that, or travel the country, I would say. You got to have a lot of money to do that. So we'll find out what the real deal is and the plan that he actually have in motion. Kim says the amount of speculations that the viewers have had to do is ridiculous. They could have used the season to actually work on the communication issue. Absolutely, I agree with that. I totally agree with that. Shanice said the funny thing is the experts didn't cry for Jazz and Mike and Mark and Lindsay. It says a lot. Yeah, because listen, especially Dr. Viviana being the sex therapist on the show, and there's no sexual chemistry between Jasmina and Michael, she know that ain't going nowhere. That girl is not feeling that man. Don't want to touch. She barely wants this man to touch her, and they're gonna be living in separate houses while still being married. Of course, they're gonna look at them like, really? That whole side eye emoji. That would be the perfect thing, and that's how they felt. Um, And then as for Lindsay and Mark, they know Lindsay from what we see, is a whole lot. And, and that Mark has a lot to deal with when it comes to her. Shanice said a funny thing. Oh, okay. Yeah. So we got that. Yeah. So, I mean, it was a pretty interesting decision day. There was a lot of spoilers out at the beginning of the season that 3 out of the remaining 4 was gonna say yes, and 1 was gonna say no on decision day. However, 4 out of the 4 remaining said yes. I was really shocked on Michael and Jasmina. Now, at the beginning of the season, I had high hopes for them, but as the season continued, that went way out the window. I was over it. I was like, let's just get this season over with so these 2 people can go about their business. It's a wrap. It's done. You know, check and mate. We're done. Stick a fork in it. But the other 3 speculations were true, which was Olusola and Katina. Um, of course, Mark and Lindsay was also part of that speculation, and also Noy and Steve. Now, I don't know if you checked out Queen E's video. Shout out to Queen E. She did a video a couple days ago about the screw up with editing on, and I talked about this early on, probably about a month ago. Not about the phone thing, but the neck the tattoo on his neck. So if you guys remember, when they had that whole dating app thing, and then they showed us a scene where Katina had her hair in a wrap, and Elijah one had, they both was looking down into the camera, and they had these three lights in the ceiling. At that time when that clip was filmed, he had a whole neck tattoo all the way up to his ear and up to his, almost up underneath his neck to his chin. On decision day, that neck tattoo wasn't there. So Queenie, I know I brought it to attention a while ago, but Queenie also brought that to attention. And if you were really paying closely attention to that, some of my folks caught me on that. Shanice was one of them. They was like, "Did you see that?" And I'm like, "Girl, yeah." So a lot of us did catch that. We knew at that point that they were still together because that neck tattoo was definitely reflected on the after party. That tattoo was so far up of Elijah one's neck, on the, below his ear, up under his chin. It was very profound. So much so that a lot of people was like, "Oh my God, that I don't like the way it looked." Whatever. He chose to do it. If his wife like it. Katina has a lot of tattoos herself. I think she got a ton of them going up her arm. I think a half a sleeve, and I think she might have some on her back and chest. So they obviously are tattoo life. But it definitely gave us a look into the editing. And so sometimes you just have to watch closely because I will say that the um after party is filmed right after, it's after, because Decision Day was filmed in February, I think. Yes, it was filmed in February, right around Valentine's Day. The after party, because the season ended in September, so they filmed from, not September. Wait, yeah, September, because the weddings were July 25th and 26th, and then the decision day was September 25th. So between September and, of course, beginning of the new year, because the season came out to us in January, the after party was filmed because now they have to look at it in real time. And I think even some of them might have happened after that too, because they were actually able to respond to some of the things social media was talking about. So I think even some of those after parties were filmed during the season, which he had that tattoo up to his neck. If you guys actually paid closely attention to some of the things Elijah once said, they actually, there's an episode of the after party where Elijah one calls his wife on the phone and say, "Hey love, hey baby, what you doing? I need you to answer this question." So they were definitely still in love and in a relationship even at that point. And if that was one of the episodes that actually filmed during the season, they were still together. Um, Another quick tidbit is that on the way to reunion, they were still together. Jazz was with them, Michael was not. So we already probably know based on the reunion clips that they're no longer together. I do have insight on what's going on with those two, but I don't want to spoil anything. But in regards to, how this stuff is filmed, how this stuff is edited, you guys pay closely attention to some of these things. I know the producers are banking on the fact that you react to everything you see without actually looking closely. And so, one thing about myself, and I'm going to throw you in here too, Shanice. We catch it all. We catch the phone, the fake phone thing. We caught the whole no tattoo versus a real the neck tattoo. It was crazy, and and I'm glad that Queen E had also brought it up to her subscribers as well on her channel. And the way that she described it is like, hey, they kind of gave us a spoiler without realizing it if you really didn't pay attention. So It was a pretty crazy season, to say the least. It's not over yet. We still have the two reunions. Um, you know, Jazz and Mike. I just, the way it looks, because for her comments talking about they got in a really bad argument. That's that. Arguments don't go well with Jasmina. So okay, let me see what y'all got to say in here. Um, Shanice says, I feel I am because she was so happy. She was laughing and giggling real hard. And that's the only thing to talk. Okay, you talking to Kim. Okay. Mary says the experts have gotten a lot of slack this season, so I'm wondering if the producers push for all the couples to stay together and build up the experts. Of course they did, Mary. We were talking about that earlier in this live, that they, because the running statement that they made, a lot of the couples said, we need more time. We need more time. So I honestly think that the experts and the producers was like, you know what? We know this is not enough time. Just say yes today and see what you continue to do to continue to work on your marriage after the season and the cameras are gone. And that gives them the check mark to say, hey, we got 4 yeses. And if they break up after the season, they don't have to take accountability for that because you're on your own now. So I totally agree with you on that, Mary. Decision day was in September. The reunion was at the end of February. After party episodes were done in batches until the end. That's what I thought, Kim. So yeah, that whole phone call in one of the after party episodes, as I just mentioned, that gave away a lot. And the neck tattoo. Kim says at least per Married at First Sight fans. Okay, yeah. She was the one that actually put the predictions out earlier about who stayed and who didn't. Shanice said, we do, girl. It's always the little things that really leads to bigger things. Absolutely. Absolutely. And where are they now, episode 2? I'm wondering if they are going to continue to, if they're going to bring back couples cam. I would like to see if, just say Elijah and Katina stay together, Steve and Moy stay together, Steve and Noy stay together. I want to see what what that looked like on couples cam. I would hope they bring that back. Mary says exactly what I thought. Yeah, so hey, that's what a lot of this stuff is all shuffled and it's all put together in a sequence to bring in entertainment. That's what it comes down to. The editing during the season, the things that happened filmed after the season. That clip of because they made him, so we didn't get an apology scene, right? Because that's what that scene with the neck tattoo, it was him saying, we're fine. Well, I apologize to Katina. We're good. I shouldn't have did this. She know I was wrong. They added that clip in, and a lot of people took offense to that too. Well, why did he apologize to her in that moment? Why did they have to come back later and do it? That's why who knows? I honestly think he apologized, but they didn't catch it on camera or they didn't put it in. And so people, of course, it would make her look worse because Olajuwon already looks bad right now, but with that whole fake phone thing, and then him not apologizing for it, they had to say, okay, wait a minute. Well, the whole phone thing wasn't all that anyway. We got to at least throw the apology clip in there. It wasn't real. And I mean, if you guys pay attention to that, because people were hitting me up, did you see the two phones? And I'm not going to, because I did a separate video about that at the time. I did post it in my community tab. That picture and the details is already it's still there. And it's also on my IG. But yeah, on the bus, he was looking through a white phone. When Katina pulled out her phone, where the supposedly dating app was, it was a black phone. And it was like, really? At least the things that you could do if you wanted to make it look consistent, is the phones look the same color. Because then people was trying to say, well, there was a phone cover. I'm like, no, because the white phone was his phone. White phone he walked out of the room with. They purposely showed it in his hand, him looking at it. And then he asked to see her phone and she pulled out the black phone. But the clip that they showed where he was on the bus looking at and found the dating app was the white phone. And I'm like, oh my God, y'all crazy. So they had to make him come back and say, hey, you guys, y'all got to do a quick clip with an apology because this don't look good. We didn't get an apology filmed in at the time. So it was crazy. It was crazy. The sad thing is TLC use human bad behavior for ratings and go far sometimes. Do you mean Lifetime um, or TLC? Are you talking about a different show? Shanice says, I bet he apologized and they didn't put it in, but then they realized the storyline wouldn't make sense without the apology. Exactly. They didn't put it in. And then once they all lovey dovey, they stay together, we see them in the future or whatever with the upcoming episodes, they be like, dang, he never apologized for the dating app thing. Yeah, they slid that in real quick. Did you guys see? And here's the thing, guys. It's one thing if you don't like what's happening on the show, and I'm not talking about you guys in particular, in general. However, talking about people's wigs, talking about people's body parts, people's hair, people's teeth, all of this. It's why? Why? Because then there were people who was talking about Katina's wig and all of this kind of stuff. And I'm like, look, come on. People wear extensions. I mean, there's times every now and then I throw a ponytail in my hair, an extended one. There's times where I might wear it a little bit too long and I look in the mirror like, ooh, this gotta go. But I'm not gonna badmouth somebody else over their hair. I mean, I might look at it and be like, okay, but I'm not gonna be like, oh my God, look at your hair. It's crazy. Now, if my friends say, well, what do you think of my hair? Do you think it's time for a new do? I'm gonna be like, you want my opinion? Yeah. Okay, then I'll give it to you. But yeah, in social media, dragging people like talking about Noy's face, her skin, Katina's hair. They were saying things about bags under her eyes. We know everything that they're saying about Elijah one, um, Michael's height. It's just it was just interesting to watch. I'll just say that. Shanice says the episode was all out of sequence because during the argument she had short pink nails, and then later at dinner with him, the previous wedding nails from a few weeks ago. Yeah, I think you were the one that brought that up to me as well. The difference in the fingernails, everything is out of sequence. And Married at First Sight Australia, the people that got the villain edits, they talked about that for the last couple weeks. And I've been posting stuff. Guys, I'm also on TikTok now. So if you go to Romance Review TV 1, I'm on TikTok. It's about 1,200 of us over there now. It's 14,000 of us over on Instagram. And I've been posting reels, keeping you guys up to date with stuff over there. And then the stuff that I'm doing with you guys over here on YouTube. And I'm also posting on Reddit. So I do post the content into the Reddit groups and on Facebook. But I try to stay away from Facebook. Facebook is a little bit too toxic for me, you know. But I like you guys over here. We keep it fun. We have the conversations, and it's really cool. I don't like that either. The attacks on appearance. Yeah, it's crazy. Nobody in this world on this planet is perfect. Nobody. Everybody have some sort of imperfection, whether it's physically, whether it's with behaviors. Nobody's perfect. So to be dragging people on their face and skin and hair and things like that. It's like, why? Why? The ones that get me most upset is people talking about noise, appearance, and Katina's wig. I just want to curse them out sometimes, but I know better, girl. Yeah, don't even stoop to that level. Nope. You know, it looks like Katina did change her hairstyle for the reunion. She's wearing a little shorter look. But I did see her Instagram. It's not open, but her profile picture is absolutely gorgeous. Both of them. Olajuwon did post a picture on. He changed his profile picture, even though we don't have access to the account. But he did change his profile picture. He's looking good. Steve has been doing some stuff on TikTok. I posted his rap video that he created. It is hilarious. It's on my TikTok. You can follow him on his TikTok too. It's Steve Moy. And I also posted it to Instagram. I'm trying to think. Everybody's looking good. They've updated their social media profile pictures, and yeah, they're looking good. So, hopefully, the ones that stayed together, they're happy in their marriages, and the ones that didn't, they're in new relationships. I think from what I know, and I won't say anything on who I'm talking about, but there is one, two people who are in new relationships. So I'll just say that. I'm gonna keep it right there, and then we'll talk more about it later because I don't. Maybe some stuff is gonna come out at the reunion, and I don't want to spoil that for anybody. So I do know that two people are in new relationships. So Steve is hilarious. Oh, I know, right? It is hilarious. That video was crazy. Kim says if they bring back couples cam, it should be limited to established couples only. No one wants to see another Eric and Virginia season. Yeah, it needs to be solid people. And I think what happened is that they started off strong on couples cam, but they ended up breaking up during filming. So they ended up have to end it. But it's optional. I will tell you it is optional because Clara and Ryan did stay together for a time, but they chose to opt out of couples cam. Shanice says, "Girl, I'll be in your inbox for the tea because you always got some tea." Listen, when I come across some stuff, I'll be like, so I don't know if you guys have been who my Married at First Sight Australia fans who have been following me on my channel, who was on my live the past several months, but I have been posting some things. And for those that do watch Married at First Sight Australia, did you see what came out about the whole Dom, the whole thing with Dominica and that it wasn't on OnlyFans, that she deleted her account first, but posted it to Twitter and it was still out there. So there was no expectation of privacy, which throws that whole legal thing out that they were going to sue Olivia over out the window. So I don't know if you've seen that. I did at Daily Mail UK and Australia posted that yesterday, and by the time I saw it, it had just came out 2 hours. I was on it. So I did do a, recap or reaction to that particular, story. It is on my channel. I did post it yesterday. I have been also reacting to some of the cast members because their social medias are now open. And so they have been doing Q&As, giving behind the tea. This whole thing with Tamara and Mitch did not exist. Mitch was like, we were never dating. He said he was happy for Brenton and Ella because they supposedly were dating. So I got a lot of stuff. All that stuff is either on my YouTube channel, on my TikTok. My Instagram lovers, they like the US stuff that's on my Instagram platform. So I don't put a lot of the Australia stuff out there, but most of my Australia stuff is here on YouTube and on TikTok. So go check all of that stuff out. I'm going to still do a tea party. I haven't forgot about that, but I wanted to get all of the goods of all of the stuff because everything. Here's the thing: Married at First Sight production team in Australia, even though the season was over itself, they still hadn't given back the phones to the cast members until about a month or so later. So all of the content that we were seeing was coming from production on their platforms. So now that they had gotten their social medias back into their own control, now they were able to start speaking out. So Mitch was like, we only get paid $1,175 an episode. I was like, holy crap, that it ain't worth it for me for social, especially with people like Olivia and Jackson and um Carolina and Daniel. Oh my God. Their lives have been turned upside down for the amount of money that they get paid per episode. It is crazy. Oh yeah, guys. Also check out the episode, the video that I did yesterday too about how the production team allegedly wanted what is his name? Still Anthony and Jess to have an affair storyline. Jess turned it down, according to what was said. That was also posted in Daily Mail UK and Australia. So I try to keep you guys updated. Go check it out. Those videos is on my channel. Let's see what you guys talking about. Noe looking beautiful too. Yes, she is. She is. Um, Kim says Married at First Sight Australia was way better than the US this season. Yeah, but that whole thing with that retreat and the smash glass and the OnlyFans scandal was out of control. And I talked about it on that live. I'm not going to really dive deep into that again, but that whole scandal, me personally, I think it was staged and added as a storyline because there's no way when you can kick a guy off who was married to Jess, the first guy she was married to, who was extremely offensive in his behavior, you kick him off. But then something as criminal as what Olivia had supposedly had done, you create a storyline around it, and then come to find out in the past couple days that the whole situation was not a criminal act. It was out there and there was no expectation of privacy. There's no way that In the Mall Shine and Channel 9 would have been wanting to use this storyline if there were going to be some legal issues with it. So that's just my take on it. I knew eventually something was going to come out. You just have to sit back and wait sometimes because again, this is entertainment. This is TV. And we got to remember that. I look for the love and the romance after the season. I want just like I'm watching the romance of Woody and Amani and the new baby on the way, and Karen and Miles, and they're getting ready to go to Dubai at the end of the year. And when you have Vincent and Brianna, who Vincent is always doing videos on Instagram with Cookie. I love how he loves Brianna dog, and I guess it's their dog now. And the new house that they've built. I still follow Jeffy and Shanice and Beth and Jamie, and Deanna and Greg, and all of these couples who we watch the show for that purpose. We want to see the romance, the babies that come out of this. Deanna and Greg had a baby. Jessica and Austin just had a baby as well last year. So all of the drama is one thing. I'm here for the love, the marriage, and the romance. And I get to see that a lot after the season. Because I know content creators are like, yeah, I don't have time to follow folks. Oh, the season's over. It's done. Well, I want to see the marriage. I want to see the progression. I want to see the love, the babies, the new houses. the travel, the trips, all of that good stuff. Did you guys see Karen and Miles? They went to the Dreamville concert back in early April. My daughter actually went to the Dreamville concert. It was crazy. They had a good time. Karen and Miles did. They did a lot of photos and stuff like that. So they're living their best life amongst all of the hate Karen had received over the past 2 years. So that's what I'm here for. Kim says it's really a miracle that we have any couples. I'm serious. And then I do sometimes check in on the couples that didn't stay together. Like I said, Christina has a new boyfriend that she's living in Mexico with. Henry and Kayla, they're doing great together. Michael and Shay and her daughter, they got married. They're doing things together. Um, I think Mika has a new guy in her life. Uh, I remember Taylor, she never showed his face, but she has somebody. I'm trying to think. Katie got married last year. The Katie that was dating Derek, was married to Derek in season 10. She got married to, her current husband. So, the romance is there. These people eventually move on with their lives. And, I don't mind checking in every now and then to see how they're doing. So, and again, because of the fact that, I do have conversations with folks from across the shows, I like the fact that I can, be able to interact with them and check in with them and see how they're doing. So, all right, guys, this was a good one. We got to do this. We're going to do the reunion part 1. So stay tuned for that live next week. If you haven't already, please, please, please hit that like button. We want to let YouTube know that you guys really enjoy the content. If you are not getting my notifications, make sure you are subscribed because YouTube be doing some funky things sometimes. So make sure that you are still subscribed to my channel. So whenever time I go live or send a video or whatever, you'll get that. Okay. And then too, if you the super chat is now on because I know you guys in previous lives were asking me, where's the super chat? It's now on. So it's there. If not, if not this live, maybe you can help support the channel in future lives as well. You are so welcome, Mary. I'm glad you guys stick with me and come back every time I do these. I really enjoy you guys. So, I again stay tuned for the reunion part 1 live. We'll do that next week. And until then, you guys have a great week. Stay tuned for my videos, and we will see you soon.